Good evening and welcome to Sports Television Network. My name is Ekpo Temple. It's another beautiful evening, of course, a lot to talk about on today's edition of the show. And so our focus will be centered on the WTA finalists that emerged, this morning in the ongoing Australian Open. Preparations for the second stanza of the Nigeria Premier Football League and mixed results from yesterday UEFA Champions League game. Details of this and many more will be yours shortly. Don't go anywhere. Network, and with me this evening is Emmanuel Michael. Mike, good evening and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening to you. Temple and good evening to you yourself.
Kinsley Emmanuel is also live with us on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me, Temple. Very happy to be with you today.
All right, quickly, let's get started. It's showtime here, and of course, a lot transpired. Yes, it is the 57th edition of the Australian Open in the Open era, and I can tell you for sure that it is getting more thrilling as the day goes by. I can tell you too that after a few days, few days of encounter, finalists have emerged at this year's Australian Open. Madison Keys saved a match point before turning world number 2 Iga Swiatek to set up an Australian Open final against two-time defending champion Aryna Sabalenka. Keys claimed as a shock of 5-7, 6-1, 6-7, 6 tiebreak of 10-8 their victory over five-time Grand Slam champion Swiatek to reach the second final of her career. Kinsley, I'll start with you on this particular one. Swiatek had been in an imperious form. When talk about Melbourne, no doubt, losing just 14 games across her 5 matches before the semi-finals we saw today. For context, only 3 players in history have dropped fewer games in making it to the last 4 of the Australian Open in a 128-player draw. That is in the new era. So you begin to ask yourself, what went wrong for Iga Swiatek playing against with that imperious record I just read out?
I think for me, she started very well in that encounter. I think if you take a look at the first set, that was really, of course, led to her exit in this particular one. I think for me, from what we're saying, it is Swiatek with so many analysis, but then the dance, they've been so fantastic between them.
The difference between Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka when she played against them is that Iga Swiatek plays like a demon. That she can drag you physically, but Aryna Sabalenka plays like normal. But today, so the different Aryna Sabalenka that she saw on the court.
It used to be. I don't forget. I think if you take a look at it, the tiger in the hands of Iga Swiatek, I think that is a source of inspiration.
Aryna Sabalenka, you mean?
Aryna Sabalenka. She actually talked about the fact that if she wins this one, she's going to draw the tiger tattoo on her team. And if you take a look at, she also said that right from when she was young, she had that tiger tattoo, and that has been a source of inspiration. So whenever you see her on the court, she plays like a tiger. She fights, down to the very end, and that was the same power she actually exerted today on the court. So for Paula Badoza to come and say she didn't expect her to maybe play in that manner, I think probably she caused this one for herself. Because if it was me, I will deal with you on the court.
Okay, Mike. Let's come back to Paula Badoza. She started brilliantly, getting 3-0 up, in the first game of the first set, and then as she lost it at some point, was that her greatest undoing in that encounter?
Well, for me, I think it's about your opponent better off than you. There's nothing she would have done at that point in time, because when you discover that you are playing against a very strong opponent who is chasing a record for herself, I think it could be very difficult for you to settle down and literally to try to decipher the weak point of such an opponent, because she had a lot on her head to think about. there is a way Anna Zabalenka, serve her game that makes it very difficult, for you to grasp her tactics. I carefully, had to go back memory lane to watch her 2023 title-winning, game. I tell you, the serve trend that she was able to draw some sort of inspiration against, her, friend, talking about Paulo Badoza.
Consecutively 3 Grand Slam on a bounce. Monica Salis, did that in 1991 to 1993, and then the last was Hingis, Martina Hingis, 1997 to 1999. So she is about to do the same thing, from 2022 to this moment. That if she gets to win it, but then how big is this for her? Can she get her hands on that particular one? Looking at the way Madison Keys played.
I think Arina Sabalenka can, no matter what Madison Keys did today against Iga Swiatek. I think Arina Sabalenka, for me, I'm not really seeing anybody,
But if I told you that Madison Keys would cause an upset, would I believe it?
I wouldn't have believed.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed that Madison Keys will beat Iga Swiatek. But against Arina Sabalenka,
to say that Iga Swiatek did not come to the party.
No, for me, I think she just had a bad day in office. Because I had to watch that. I watched the game closely. She had a very bad day in office. Not about the fact.
So in this contest now, are you saying that the bad day will be reflected in the game on Saturday?
There are no 2 games that I like. Something unpredictable might even happen in the game against Aina Zabalenka that will take you aback. That will say, "Oh, is this Aina Zabalenka?" It is good. It happens.
Yeah.
So, upsets do happen, and sometimes you do not judge, upcoming events with what is at hand. Sometimes there are some. The dice is cast. And let's see, where the pendulum are swing in the final game.
So, from the outlook of the fan, Kinsley, do you think where would the fans, sway their prediction and their support to?
if you take a look at it, Madison Keys is an American, and Arina Sabalenka is a Belarusian assistant. So, but if you take a look at the,
I think that she has their magic stuff. There's something she always tells them that
she responds to the journalists so whenever
very well.
court interview, and the fans, of course, are so happy with her progress. And I think for me, if you take a look at it, they might possibly tilt their support, towards her, because there's a lot at stake for her. She's done this back to back, and about doing it again at this point in time. Looking.
All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's Sports Extraordinary here on Abia. Imbas are standing match before the start of the second stanza of the season has finally come to an end today. And of course, we saw that game away from home, traveled down to our Abacha Stadium. Yes, the game on your screen there. I saw Mammoth Crown. Let's talk about that game. It ended 2-0, in favor of the home side. Kanopila Shehu played a brace to ensure that the home side picked the maximum victory in this encounter. Mike, I will start with you. What does this victory, imply for Kanopilas?
For me, imply a whole lot. First, I think they are also gradually crawling themselves back into the title chase as well, because getting 3 points have pushed them to a more respectable position, and if they continue this way, then there is hope for them to fight for the league. If not for fighting for the league, but getting a continental spot, which I think is key for them to revive themselves back in the continent, because Kanopila is one of the traditional teams right here in the Nigerian Premier Football League that, their name ring bells as well, because they've achieved a lot as well in the Nigerian Premier Football League. So I think this is, for me, what it signifies. It gives hope that indeed there is still much to play for the season.
Yes, maybe take a look at the stadium. It was packed full. It looks more like Sana Abacha is back. We used to know this place as an environment where a lot came out. Fans can come out to watch games. It looks to me like they have really missed MPFL matches, and no surprises why that mammoth crowd in that stadium.
Yes, of course. I think the fans, they really miss the MPFL games. Don't forget, the second standard start this weekend, the 25th of January this year, and it promises to be an exciting one. And talking about the fans, of course, down there, I think they really miss when you're watching the MPFL. And don't forget, this is a very big clash, Enyimba against Kanopilas, and a lot of fans, of course, want to trip in to watch this particular one. That's why we saw the stadium being packed like that. Of course, you can't take it away from the Northerners. They love supporting their teams. You talk about Kanopilas, Plateau United. They have a very large fan base down there, in the north, and that's one thing, of course, that we've actually noticed about the Northerners. They're so passionate about supporting their team, and for me, it's actually been a good one, and it's been helping them. And you can't actually take away the fans factor of Kanopilas winning this particular encounter, because seeing such number of people in the stadium, as a player, I'm talking about a Enyimba player now, there's no how probably you won't be intimidated a bit, looking at
the crowd,
cheering, So for me, I think that has also helped them, so far at this point in time, and that's what we want to see in the Nigerian Premier Football League. It's so unfortunate that we don't see the same gesture of fan base in the south. That I think last season we saw that a bit in the east. Enugu Rangers, their fans came up last time to support them.
In Aba and the Cathedral, we get to see some of these things.
But it's so unfortunate down here in the south. We hardly see this kind of fan base in Rivers United Stadium, here the Mesimaka Stadium. You talk about Bayelsa United as well. You don't see this high number of fans trooping down to the stadium. So I think for me, the teams in the south have a lot of work to do in terms of engaging their fans to come out in mass like this, to give them the necessary support.
Of course, you are seeing live clips of the game earlier. Played a few hours before we came into the studio. It was packed full, and of course, you can see how far the game went. It 2-0 in favor of the home side Kanopilas at the Sani Abacha Stadium, and I'm thinking that with the distraction from the continent, Mike, Stanley Guma would have done a lot at least to get a win in this particular one.
Yeah, of course. For me, I expected them to come out gun blazing to vent their anger for the fact that they were knocked out of the CAF Confederations Cup. I expected them to come out gun blazing to at least more like a sign of telling their fans that, we are very sorry for not going that far in the CAF Confederations Cup, but then we are going to give you something to cheer home about, because in the league we are still very much around. So I expected them to get all 3 points, so as to keep themselves pushing. Don't forget, they had about 3 outstanding games, and they've played 2, remaining just 1. So I think if you take a look at it, it was very disappointing. Getting knocked one of the outstanding games is not a good one at all, and the morals of
move now and straight to the Nigeria Women Premier League, where we saw games yesterday across various centers. Atlant Queens lost at home to Edo Queens 2-1. It ended. The Nas Ladies defeated the Conference Queen 2-0. Abia Angels were 3-0 better off than Nasarawa Amazon. And that was rattled the Rivers Angels there in Abuja. 1-1 it ended. That game was shown live. FC Robo Queens were 2-1 better off than Adamawa Queens. Zeta Queens defeated Benue Queens 2-0. Ramo Stars Lady at the Kene did so well against Sekiti Queens 1-8. Then the Bomb Angels played a goalless draw with Bayelsa Queens. So these are some of the encounters. Let's move now to Europe, where we'll start with the Serie A. Super Eagles Italian Serie A side goalkeeper Udinese. Madoka Okoye seems to be in a very bad environment now, because news coming out from
about betting has actually sank so many players down the lane. Daniel Sturridge of Liverpool, back then, we understand what betting also did to him, as well as so many other players as well. So I think we don't pray, I don't hope that Madu Okoye is not found guilty, because if he's found guilty, it's really going to be very, very disturbing to his career. Very
disturbing to his career, but let's see how far the panel of investigations will go about the investigation, and of course I hope that he is not found guilty, because that would be to be a big dent on his career, especially playing for Udinese. Right away from that, let's talk about the big one yesterday, the UEFA Champions League, where we saw a lot of happenings from that particular side, and of course we'll start with the big one.
I tell you, if they had lost that game yesterday, it would have been all over for them. And as it is right now, they stand in a very comfortable position, even ahead of Manchester City, because they have 10 points.
True.
Advanced to more like the playoff. Whereas Manchester City, even if Manchester City get to win their next match, I doubt if they are going to make it through, because we have like 4 teams that are on 10 points. Benfica is on 10 points. Sporting CP is on 10 points. We talk about Stuttgart on 10 points. So these are 4 teams that are on 10 points, that if they get to win their next game, they will climb to 13. And there is no way you tell me that all these 4 teams are going to lose all their games, because that is the only way that Manchester City can survive and get to the playoff. If they get to win their last game against Club Brugge, they will have 11 points, and 11 points vis-a-vis 13 points, automatically they are knocked out of the Champions League. But then I can't say so now, because there is still glimpse of hope. It's just that the light is very dim at the end of the tunnel.
Very dim at the end of the tunnel. And of course, let's move on now to the game that was played there in Netherlands. Of course, we saw Bayern Munich lost away from home to Feyenoord. 3-0 it ended, and a lot of people will tell you that that kind of clean sheet shouldn't be for a big name like Bayern Munich. But Kesley, did Bayern underestimate the effort of Feyenoord, or was it just one of the bad days for them?
I think it was one of the bad days for them. I don't think they underestimated Feyenoord. Because if you take a look at it, they've not done so well in the Champions League. They are also looking for a playoff spot as well, in the Champions League. So I don't see any reason where they would have want to underestimate Feyenoord in that particular encounter. It was really a bad day for them, and since Vincent Kompany took over, I think they've also had a little bit of struggle. Last season they lost the German Bundesliga title to Bayer Leverkusen, and this season again ahead of Bayer Leverkusen. That's to tell you how Bayern Munich are struggling. You understand? When Bayern Munich want to win the league years back, they will give you like 10 points this week, good in their league, but not the same energy in the UEFA Champions League. I don't even expect Feyenoord to even take back
the learning curve, trying to get the tactical disposition of the baby coach, talking about Vincent Kompany, because there are players that, you know.
Why do you call him baby coach?
He's a baby coach. He has not proven his worth anywhere. He coached a ball.
But if it was that bad, he wouldn't have coached. He wouldn't have been employed. Some of the games to talk about, AZ Alkmaar will take on Roma, Bodo Glimt versus Maccabi Tel Aviv tonight against Lyon, and many other game. But one game we cannot forget to take a look at is Manchester United versus Rangers. Constantly, this Manchester United will be without Lindelof, will be without Mount and Shaw due to injury, as well as for Rangers they will miss the rest of Sterling through injury. But then one thing very striking in that 4 previous meeting, do you see that happening tonight at the Theatre of Dreams against Rangers?
I think the form differs at this point in time. That form, of course, is not the same. It's not the same now. It is, you know, for Manchester United. United, they have really gone down the lane. Don't forget, it was really an abysmal one against Brighton. I think they lost that game about 3-1, and was a frustrating one to the coach Ruben Amorim fans that this is the worst set of Manchester United team. Of course, it's several pressure that is coming your way.
In his thing, him too, they are not. This is the worst, you know, for whatever reasons. I mean, that was really hit against.
Even though you're not doing well, he was brought in at the mid, part of the season. So I think Amorim is trying to instill his philosophy and